Hi, boys and girls. Let's go ahead and work on your notes for lesson 7. So let's open your fact files to lesson 7, which is the birthplace of democracy. You guys are going to hear a lot about democracy in the next couple of weeks with the election coming. So we talked yesterday about Athena's city and how that came to be. And now we're going to talk about a very, very important idea that came from ancient Greece that still affects us today. So the government in ancient Athens was called a democracy, where citizens have a say in decisions. For instance, they get to vote and do other things. So in our notes, we're going to go ahead and write in the word democracy here. D-E-M-O-C-R-A-C-Y. Democracy. So this was different than a lot of other governments that were around at the time, where there was one leader who was not chosen and who made all the decisions, and the people didn't have a say in what happened. So let's look again at our next set of notes. So in ancient Greece, there was something called an assembly. And it's where Greek men would meet to discuss and vote on important issues. So in our country, we live in a government similar to a democracy called a representative republic, and we have an assembly, but we all don't assemble. We elect people to represent us, and they represent us in our state or in our city, in our country. They represent us and make decisions on our behalf. We're not actually there making the decisions in Denver for our state or in Washington, D.C. for our country. We elect people who go there and do that on our behalf. But in ancient Greece, the people would gather themselves. They didn't elect someone to go, they actually would go, and they would make the decisions. So the first word we're going to put in here is assembly. A-S-S-E-M-B-L-Y. So an assembly is similar to what we have now as a Congress or a House of Representatives and Senate. Those are parts of our Congress. Assembly, again, is where the people would actually go together. And in this case, it was men, not women. So they would discuss, and C-U-S-S. They would meet to discuss, that means to talk over, and then they would vote on important issues. And then the last piece of information we're going to write down today is something we talked about yesterday, which is the Agora. That is our project you guys are working on for next Thursday. The Agora is a Greek marketplace. So in here, we're going to write Agora, A-G-O-R-A. If you need to pause this, you can get caught up, go ahead. And I'm going to pull up our video. Okay, so
There was a lot of fighting in that play. Wow. Dear Tim and Moby, tell me about Athens. From Jenna. Okay. Athens is the capital of Greece. Yep, it's also where the modern Olympics began and where the 2004 Summer Games were held. But more than that, Athens has a really important past. A long time ago, Greece was divided up into city-states made of cities and their surrounding farmlands. Athens was one of them. Athens emerged as a center for art, literature, and philosophy between 460 BCE and 429 BCE, a time known as the Golden Age. It was also one of the most powerful city-states, thanks to its charismatic leader Pericles. The Athenians liked him so much they elected him again and again until he finally died in 429 BCE. Yep. Every city-state governed itself, and Athens was special because it chose a democratic form of government. Athenian citizens served on law courts and councils, sharing power amongst themselves. Under Pericles' leadership, Athens built up its defending wall and its navy. That came in handy when they had to fight a war with the neighboring city-state of Sparta. But Pericles wasn't all about making Athens a military powerhouse, he also wanted to make it beautiful. The Parthenon and the Temple of Athena were built under his command. Famous philosophers like Socrates and Plato set the standard for Western thought. They argued their points in the center of town, called the Agora. Theater was a huge part of Athenian life. Twice a year they held festivals for the god Dionysus, where plays were shown for 4 straight days, and everybody went. Women got to leave their home duties behind, and even prisoners were released from jail to go to the festival. Greek playwrights like Aeschylus and Sophocles wrote plays that are still performed to this day. Life was not all about intellectual stuff. Athenians also believed that physical fitness was just as important as mental fitness. I guess that's part of why the Olympics started there. That's a good point. All of these cool things, philosophers arguing in the streets, acting in plays, voting for leaders, hanging out at the gym, they were for men only. Women's and girls' roles were to stay at home, to take care of the household, and raise children. Going to plays was the exception to the rule. You want to go see a play every weekend? Sure, but, next time maybe we should go see a comedy.